Introducing VI starting room. VI starting room is designed to test 51V function. In this function, the overcurrent unit trip depends on the voltage drop. In fact, VI starting is a current function whose pickup is linked to voltage. Note that in 51V function test, evaluation of detecting or not detecting faults is performed based on the test. Voltage and current amount, which can be voltage controlled and voltage restrained, and is used as a generator differential protection backup as well as for coordinating high current relays in power systems. To explain the difference between these two functions, characteristic curve and examples are used. If the 51V function is voltage controlled, its characteristic curve will look like what you can see in the picture. For a relay with this characteristic curve, the relay performs the pickup in currents higher than 5 ampere, and for currents lower than 4 ampere, the relay does not perform the pickup. But if the current is between 4 ampere and 5 ampere, the relay performs the pickup only if the voltage is lower than 50 voltage. In the setting of this function, 4 ampere and 5 ampere currents are specified as I first stage and I second stage respectively. In the second mode, if the characteristic curve is voltage restrained like the previous mode, the relay detects a fault if the current is higher than 5 ampere, and in current lower than 4 ampere, it does not perform the pickup. The difference is that between 4 ampere and 5 ampere, the pickup voltage value has a linear increase. In this function, it is possible to specify the settings for phase-to-phase and phase-to-earth voltage faults separately. This is also considered in the characteristic curve page of this function, so that if you add a shot on the characteristic curve in single phase fault type, the specified voltage is the voltage of the phase, and if you select two-phase or three-phase fault type, the specified voltage is line-to-line voltage, in which case the device produces the corresponding voltage to produce the line-to-line voltage. Test view and VI starting characteristic are the two main windows of this room. In test view window, the three main tests of this function are performed in shot test, check test, and search test tabs, which will be explained in future videos. In VI starting characteristic window, the characteristic curve of the function is displayed according to the current and voltage. To specify the settings of this function, select Test Object from the toolbar and double-click on VI starting from the tree diagram, and then enter your desired settings to be displayed in VI starting characteristic. Characteristic curve in VI starting parameters page. Relay setting in VI starting room. In VI starting parameters page, you can enter the characteristic curve information in characteristic section. In I first stage and I second stage fields, the lower and upper limits of the pickup currents are entered. In this protection, for currents lower than I first stage, the function does not give a trip regardless of the voltage. Also for currents higher than I second stage, this function gives a trip regardless of the voltage. The range between these two values is where the voltage value is influential for the performance of the function. Voltage settings of the function is entered in VLN and VLL fields. As mentioned before, this function needs different settings for phase-to-earth and phase-to-phase faults. VLN is used for specifying phase-to-earth fault settings. VLN I first stage and VLN I second stage are used for specifying the voltage value of lower and upper limits respectively. VLL I first stage and VLL I second stage have the same function for phase-to-phase faults. Note that for VI starting controlled function, the same value must be entered for the lower and upper limits of VLN and VLL, but for restrained mode, the lower limits must be lower than the upper limit. Also, current and voltage tolerances of this function are entered in tolerances section.